Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? Another week, another edition of the show. This week, I have an awesome band out of Nebraska called Names Without Numbers. I have Ryan and Dave with me today. Again, you know how I find music. I spent hours upon hours weeding through the fucking horribleness that is algorithms, and I spend time on Bandcamp trying to find bands and came across them. Much to my surprise, I kind of felt like I missed something way back when that these guys did not come across my plate back when I was going to so many DIY shows and shit around the world. And at least I have them now in my life, and I have them here on the show. So Dave and Ryan, welcome to the show, guys.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, stoked to be here. Thanks a lot.
So I want to, because based on my research and then finding your music and seeing this massive gap in between creative process of making music. I mean, who's the better storyteller to tell me about, names without numbers, the formation, and then the long gap in between, and to, now creating some brilliant shit that I can't get out of my head.
A good storyteller? I don't know. What do you think, Ryan?
I don't know. You can go ahead.
Um, yeah, these are always great questions. We have been a band for a really long time, but the condensed version is we were both in separate bands, and we were both kind of going in different directions. And I know my side of this story is we were all friends. Ryan's band was kind of breaking up for various reasons. And I just thought to myself, let's start a super group. let's get, let's get some of those guys, bring them over to this band that was already going. And so it did, and it worked out. And should we talk about Life 9 Days, Ryan, or not? You guys still there?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Um,
kids in college and marriages and things like that. And we decided that we had a little bit more time, and that's kind of why we came back together.
yeah,
A
yeah, yeah,
little bit of boredom, writing in our basements. Hey, let's
yeah.
get this, get
Oh,
this
yeah,
out there.
yeah. Sorry if I misunderstood the question. Yeah, yeah. We took a break, and like Ryan said, I know for me personally, in 2016, Jimmy Eat World kind of had that kind of a comeback record, and I know for me personally, that kind of inspired of like, hey, why don't we give this another shot? Um, and so we did, and we started writing new material, and here we are today.
Well, I'm glad you did give it another shot and start writing new material, because there's some amazing music out there that I hope the world, more people in the world will get to hear, especially after this episode. But I mean, when it comes to, a creative process from way back when to now, and how the landscape has completely changed, what are the biggest difficulties, Ryan, that you think you encounter now that maybe you wouldn't have encountered way back when?
Biggest difficulties. I mean, that's a great question. I think our writing process has evolved over the years. I think now it's easier to kind of help. Computers and technology um, can help us a little bit with some lyrics or some. I use thesaurus a lot to like bounce ideas off of, get some new lyrics going. But it also can be, I don't know, a little bit of a like. There's so much AI out there, like listening to it, it's all kind of, I don't know, just generic crap that you hear. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of that out there. Um, but yeah, like I don't know. This is a tough question, Dave. You might jump in and help me out here because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, some of the challenges now um, are there's so many. I don't know. Trying to explain it, there's so many bands and everything's online. So, like back in the day, it seemed like the pool was a little bit smaller, and the only way you were actually hearing about bands was going through your local record store and actually buying physical product. And now everything in the digital age, I mean, you can have giant millions of streams, and sometimes it means something, sometimes it doesn't. And it seems like you're just a little tiny fish in a big, giant, humongous pond in the digital world. And it's really hard to kind of rise to the top, no matter how good you are. So it's a constant struggle. And
Mhm.
I like what it says. Basically, we're not promoting music anymore. We're just full-time traveling T-shirt salesmen.
Yeah, and when it comes to all this digital age stuff, I mean, I recently had an artist come into my record store and try to hand me, some business cards with QR codes so they could get to someone's album, and I had to stop them. I go, I kind of don't care how good your album is at this point, but you do realize you just walked into a physical media selling store, right?
Mm.
So, what do you think I'm going to do with that? I will take them and I will throw them directly into the trash. If you want to come in
Right.
here and hand a record or a CD or something, now we can have a conversation. But I'm like, I'm trying to give people a place where they can find new music and then own it themselves, and then feel like it belongs to them, as opposed to it belonging to a Spotify or Pandora or Apple Music or something like that. It actually owns, they can take ownership of it and not just click a QR code. Now, I understand it can bring you somewhere else to get your stuff, but that's really not the point of owning a record store.
No, I love physical media. I used to work at a local, kind of like a local mom and pop record shop, and it's been around for a long time. That was just a great time when I was in between jobs. I picked up that part-time job, and I love vinyl, and I still buy CDs, and I just got
Yeah.
some vinyl. So I just got some vinyl and CD in the mail the other day.
Yeah, I give him a lot of crap. He's a bit of a relic. Everyone's on like online anymore, and I am too. I listen to most of my music online, but I get it. I mean, there is something like tangible about having like a disc or an LP that you can, have and get out, and it's kind of special,
Yeah, and
It's kind of old
for
school, but it's cool.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it can be old school, but it can be the way that I think it brings you closer to listening to something, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah,
especially nowadays with all the lawsuits that are going to start being compiled with user agreements and licensing and things like that. Whereas if you've purchased an album through iTunes, and you spent say $15 on it, and they lose the license to sell that, it's no longer in your library. You no longer
yeah,
own that. So it's one of those things now, and I'm trying to teach and instill kids, like, if you absolutely love this artist, you should probably hold on to their stuff, because if they get way too
Yeah.
big, and you might not have that opportunity to start streaming them, and then everyone's going to be racing out. So always be first. It's not a bad thing. It's also me being a salesman of owning a record store, but you know
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a bigger
I
bigger
I
picture
love it.
question. What happens if iCloud goes away? What happens if these big services, like, then you lose all your pictures, you lose all your data for everything, like your whole existence goes away.
which
I
I
like I like existential questions like that.
Yeah, well, and I honestly think it would be fantastic. I think, like, the like the clean slate, right? Having that, and being able to start over, and to actually have the engagement of having to start over. I mean, we've all
Yeah,
probably took all our CDs, loaded them up into Apple iTunes. I myself did, but I did one thing that most people didn't. I still kept every single one of those CDs I uploaded.
Mm,
yeah. Well, Dave did too. He's got a whole wall of them in his basement, like legitimately an entire wall of seats. So
that's
yeah,
true.
you guys are same.
They're all in alphabetical order.
As are mine.
So I don't know how you'd find them if you wouldn't put them in order, something like
That's true.
that.
All my vinyl are alphabetical, and all my CDs. So
So I want to dive into, like, some personal background of each of you. So I'm going to pose the question first to Dave, and then Ryan. You'll have the same question, but there's kind of two pivotal moments in a child's life when it comes to music, and one of them is that, like, first time you hear something that kind of makes your ears perk up and want to, like, figure out something and know more. Like, it was a lot of times it was just stuff in the background that your parents had on, but all of a sudden one song clicked for you and you wanted to know more about music. And then the second part of that question is, then when you get a little older, you find your own music. And what was that? So first one is, what was that first thing? Do you have that first musical memory of something changing your life and wanting to find more music? Dave.
um, yeah, definitely. Um, I grew up. I grew up in a musical household, so I was surrounded by pretty good music, everywhere from rock to jazz. And I grew up in a Christian household, um, so I listened to a lot of even Christian rock as well. But all that to be said, one um, band that really kind of changed a lot for me, kind of funny, is a Christian rock band called White Cross. And I remember hearing them probably being maybe 14, maybe 14 years old. And I said, this is awesome. And I'm pretty much going to play music now for the rest of my life. Um, so I don't know. I know that sounds really weird, a Christian rock band, but they were pretty awesome, and they sounded just like kind of just like Rat.
Yeah. No, I know
And
exactly. Listen, and a
yeah,
lot of times people get scared of that, Christian rock thing and also like church and religion and things like that. And I kind of go back to and point it out wherever you are in your life or whatever religion. I think one of the greatest things that came out of it was all the music that was around, and it created so many different musicians, whether it was, every style of music. But I think the
yeah,
music was so important to keep kids engaged at a young age, because listening to the guy behind the podium talk for an hour is like that's you're out. But as soon as the music comes on, it was a great thing to grab you. So like I always have to go back to it of like, it's okay. Like, don't worry about it. Like it's a good thing about, one of the good things about, religion was having that in church or in youth group or something, was the music that was there to help you get through the day.
yeah, yeah, I love it. Yeah, and I'm sure we could talk about Christian influence bands even through the early 2000s. But to answer your question, that was one band that really kind of changed the way I saw and thought about music. Was that band, and I got to see them multiple times throughout the years, and it was pretty awesome. And then as you get older, your tastes change a little bit, and I think there's other bands that kind of change your course as well, especially when you start playing live music.
Now, how about you, Ryan? First, like music that you heard that kind of, as a kid, that did you grow up in a musical household like Dave? Was there always stuff being played? And like, what was the thing that stood out to you most that was being played?
I mean, no, my household, short answer there is no. My dad is not musical. He can't hold a tune. He, I never even saw him. We went to church as when I was a kid, and like even doing the hymns, like I look over, he's never singing. So like he can't sing. He's just absolutely not musical. My mom is a little bit, but I don't remember her playing. So no, but they listened to a lot of music, and I don't know what the first thing that I remember hearing was that made me go aha. But I remember a lot of the Beatles. I remember a lot of Led Zeppelin when I was growing up. We had an 8-track player, if you remember those.
The
So
worst
you'd like,
form of music media ever created. Yep.
so we had an 8-track stereo, and I remember listening to a Led Zeppelin tour, and like going back and forth between like Black Dog and Stairway to Heaven, and some of those songs, and I don't know, just kind of falling in love with that like rock sound. I like ELO as well. That was kind of cool. So, but like when I came of age, like I think I really gravitated towards gnarly guitar, like guitar driven, riffy, like ACDC was my jam. Just kind of cut my teeth, like learning all of that stuff, and Led Zeppelin. So like anything that was like really raw guitar, that's kind of what I latched onto, and really why I like, I just kind of loved playing guitar and kind of driving that, that music was cool to me. So it was
N-
anything in that, with those like Metallica, that sort of sound.
Now, if your family wasn't musical, Ryan, what was it that got you into playing an instrument?
Um, I don't. I mean, yeah, those bands, those songs, just kind of like they just did something to me. Like it changed me. It spoke to my soul, right? So it was like, listening to Led Zeppelin, kind of hearing those riffs, and that like distorted high gain guitar. It was like I want to do this. I think this is rad. We need to go. And I remember, I think I was in before junior high. Like I had a savings account where like all my, aunts and uncles would give to my college fund or whatever. And I'm like, okay, mom and dad, I'm going to like, I want to spend all of this college fund on a guitar. That's what I did. And they were like, they, they didn't agree with the choice, and they were trying to talk me out of it. But all these years later, they're like, yeah, that was a great decision. Then I like blew my entire college fund on, at that point, it was just a few $100, $1,000, like on a guitar, so that I could learn how to do those things that I was really into, the Led Zeppelin and the AC/DC.
So it sounds like you were all in, but like when you first started to take lessons, how hard was that for you? And like, was there at any point that you want to give up?
Honestly, no. Like that was the crazy thing is like I take lessons, right? And I took some like classical lessons where this old lady like called it a plectrum instead of a pick. Like all this old school like terminology, and it was so boring. And I was learning how to recite read music and all of that. But like sitting in my room and like rewind, play with the music, like I do that for hours, hours. Like that was better than any lesson. It's just sitting there and like teaching myself how to play. It was like all self driven. I mean, yeah, like my parents wanted me to take the lessons because like, oh, we paid for the, or we let you pay for this guitar, so you're gonna have to learn it. But like, it was myself teaching myself in my basement that really like taught me how to play.
Wow. Now, Dave, how about you? What was it that led you to an instrument, and like what,
Mhm.
was guitar your first instrument? How did that all come to be?
Yeah. So I started playing saxophone in the fifth grade and kind of just fell in love with music ever since then. And um, growing up in a musical household, like my dad is a musician, my mom's a singer, and all my aunts and uncles and cousins and everybody, they're all musicians. And so playing music and being involved in music really was just super normal to me.
Yeah, you
But
had no
yeah,
choice, really.
yeah, which I'm glad for that. I'm glad I had that passion and that desire. But yeah, I played saxophone starting in fifth grade, just fell in love with music. And my dad taught me how to play the guitar and the drums, probably when I was around 10. And kind of just took off from there, and kind of like Ryan took some lessons for a while. But really, it was just woodshedding vivid memories of being in the basement and listening to Black Sabbath over and over and over and over, learning all the riffs. And
Yeah,
yeah, it kind of just runs in the family, just kind of came. I never really had that I want to quit moment. I was fortunate to where I fell in love with just music and playing live music, and it was just kind of in our DNA, I guess you could say.
yeah. I would say like that. It kind of aha moment here. Like it's part of my soul. Like
Yeah.
it's the thing that if I feel out of center or kind of off kilter, I'll like, you know what, I need a break. I'm gonna go to my studio and I'm gonna play for a while. And that's what really gets me back to like my center, where I am. It's who I am. It's in me. And like quitting never really has ever crossed my mind because that'd be like cutting off a limb.
Now, as a kid, when you start to pick up instruments and figure it out, there's that moment where you start seeking out others who are doing something similar to yourself, and the biggest moment of your life is forming that first ever band. And sometimes music's never even created of it. You just spend time drawing a logo and naming the band. So like, Dave, what was that experience like? Who do you remember some of the kids that maybe that first moment when you wanted to start a band, and what the name of that very first band you created was?
Oh, yes. And so, yeah, kind of typical story. There was a high school battle of the bands, and me and another guy that were both in band, concert band, jazz band, all that stuff. He was a pretty good drummer. I was a pretty good guitar player, and we found a very mediocre bass player. And he wouldn't care that I said that because he knows. And but
He's
he
still a
got
friend of ours.
yeah, he's still one of our best friends, but he got really good. But yeah, we just started a three-piece punk rock band in high school because of a battle of the bands, and we were called Pretzel. Now the caveat, though, it wasn't just like your typical spelling of pretzel.
I
Uh,
love hearing the explanations of the shitty name that you came up with. So
Yeah.
continue.
again, me kind of being coming from a Christian background, well, we got to put like a spiritual twist to this thing. And so we called it Pretzel, Soul.
Oh, it gets
Yeah.
worse.
It does get a lot,
Yeah.
it's a lot worse. And I'm really mad. I'm really mad, but more disappointed in my close friends for not talking me out of this.
Well, it was
So,
like the Beatles, right? Like, yeah, the
Yeah,
BAT, like,
yeah,
sort of a
because of the
Christian.
beat. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I think we had three or four other choices, but I don't know what happened. I must have bullied them into landing on that.
What's absolutely hysterical is I just pictured a logo for it that is so cringeworthy in my head that I- I'm going to have trouble going to sleep tonight getting it out of my brain.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I'm
had
sure
some
they had some
bad
great
logos.
logos.
So Ryan, how about yourself when you ran out to, start playing with other people? Who were they and what was that first pivotal band name you came up with?
Yeah. So I'm from a small town in Nebraska that has less than 1,000 people total in the entire town. And it's maybe 10 minutes away from even a medium-sized town with more than 5,000. So the pool of musicians my age was not very big. I had to beg, barter, and steal, like get people to even be, interested in doing something, and then they had to be talented enough to like hold a beat so that we could do something together. All of this to say, like the plane did not take off really until I got to Omaha. So there was, a bigger pool of people to play with. I was actually playing with a band called, our first name was Estes Park. And we did some creative spelling as well. It was like, the town Estes Park in Colorado, it just sounded cool. So we changed the spelling where it was like ESTIS, and then park always had an at symbol as the A, and it ended with C. I don't. It was like hey, maybe we'll get like this will be recognized and noticed if we like stylize our name. So yeah, that was also like Dave's Pretzel was
Yeah.
weird.
It's crazy. I've never heard of these
Weird
bands
take.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
kind of
Estes
glad they
Park,
never glad they
Estes
never
Park is a
made
lot
some.
better.
It is. It is, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm glad you're not in those bands anymore.
Yeah, me too.
Now, when it comes to like you're getting those bands, you're creating, and I mean, Dave, you said a battle of the bands thing. Like, do you remember that moment and that feeling of that first performance? And I mean, you're still doing it to this day, but when it was over, was there any apprehension to continue trying to create music?
Um, Apprehension, no. I've always have wanted to, be a live performer and play music. And I don't know if I specifically remember that first performance, um, or not. We weren't very good. I think we only had to play two or three songs. And to me, it was just like the love of doing something that you're passionate about with some of your best friends. And that's pretty much the way it is today. And so that's a huge part of it for me.
And Ryan,
Yeah.
it's your soul, so I really don't need to ask you that question. So,
Well, I will say though that like performing is not my jam. It never really has been. I've sort of like become more of a performer, like grew into that role. But like to
so you're
me,
like
it
a
was always
selfish musician. Like you just want to
well,
keep it to
yeah,
yourself in the basement. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I record all day long and put that out there. But like performing is a different thing. Like all eyes are on you, and like I've got extreme stage fright, and like I hate being the center of attention. I have lots of nerves, and like even talking to you, it's like, oh, this is I'm performing. People are watching. People are listening to this, and it freaks me out a little bit. But so I've kind of had to like grow into that a little bit. But to me, like just staying in the basement and playing with friends is the draw, and like I've kind of just had to like deal with going out there performing in front of other people.
It's kind of why I don't use video here. I did it a couple times, and I can usually I can grasp when someone is being authentic in themselves and not worried about like what's transpiring. So like I was just like, I got to get rid of this because I know a lot of people are, and a lot of podcasts out there are all video now too because YouTube's the big thing and you got to show your face. And I'm an
Yeah,
ugly old man, so I don't really need my face out there. But I do understand that feeling of like being the center of attention and having that stage. And that's, one of the number one reasons why I don't do video for the show.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Because, yeah, I mean, it is like, it takes me a while to like build up to something, especially a show. I got to get in the right mindset, right? And some nights I just can't get into that right mindset. And then that's usually a bad show, or I'm too much in my head. And, I have to, like, afterwards, it's just like a crash, right? I have to just go and be by myself for a while. So, yeah.
Now, there's another couple moments in your life that are pivotal, and they could be one and the same. A lot of people have had it one and the same. I was a little different. I had two opportunities, but it's Dave. Do you remember the first concert you ever went to, and then possibly the first concert you ever got to choose to go to? Because sometimes they're different, but sometimes they're the same.
Yeah, that's definitely a great question. Again, I keep on coming back to the caveat of growing up in a musical and even a Christian background type of environment. Went lots of Christian concerts. Uh, as a kid, I honestly couldn't tell you the first one. It was probably Petra, or even an old artist called Carmen. Um, I mean, going to concerts is just kind of what we did, even as a kid. So seeing live music um, was really pretty normal for me. But again, I think kind of going back to that band White Cross, saw them in concert for the first time when I was probably 14, and that was really probably again another big moment of my future trajectory of wanting to kind of do it as much as possible. Was a band called White Cross, but choosing to go to a show, yeah, I mean, as soon as literally like the second I turned 16 and was able to drive, it was just concerts nonstop. Um, I think Ryan, you were there, right, when we saw Tenacious D?
I don't think so. I've never seen Tenacious
No,
D. I wish
no.
I was there.
It was Weezer, Jimmy Eat World, and Tenacious D, and that was awesome.
Yeah, that's some show.
And and growing up in Omaha, in Omaha, we were pretty fortunate to have tons of bands from this area. So I grew up watching Bright Eyes and Connor Oberst and like the Cursive guys. I went to shows before they were huge. I mean, I saw Bright Eyes and Connor Oberst play for like 30, 40 people. And then I've seen them play for thousands of people. So
Yeah.
growing up around here was pretty awesome as far as being part of kind of the scene, if you will, that early emo rock scene.
Yeah, I mean, those are the moments, I think I've mentioned before, like growing up right outside of New York City, and like the emo scene, the early scene was great. And, like I tell people, I'm like, you have no idea that like I saw Jimmy Eat World, the Get Up Kids, Antarctica, and Strike Force in a roller skating rink in Wayne, New Jersey with 12 other people.
Yeah, that's
Like,
Yeah,
awesome.
like those are the things that, seeing Jimmy Eat World and at the
yeah,
drive-in at the Wayne Firehouse, like, and like, it's crazy to think back to those moments, and then now going to see those bands and there's thousands of people, and you're just like, wow, I mean, how much did I take
Yeah.
that for granted at that moment?
totally. Yeah.
And listen, you don't have to be shy about Petra. I actually saw Petra as well. So, and I mean, I had a moment where my mother, so this is probably, I want to say, a couple months after License to Ill came out, and I don't know how I was able to get the cassette, and I was blasting it in my room, and my mom came and took it, and
Oh
she
yeah.
goes, our youth group leader had this thing that you could trade in music, and he would give you, and I had to. The worst trade in the history of music of all time was Beastie Boys' License to Ill for Michael W. Smith's self-titled album. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was not trading up at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how about you, Ryan? I mean, you grew up in a small area, but your first concert ever, and then the first one you got to choose to go to.
I mean, yeah, like uh, it was a small area and it was a very religious community. So, like, the buses would take us to the big cities to go see Christian rock. So those were my first introduction to like a big rock show. It was like DC Talk and Jars of Clay. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I also saw PFR. Those bands. So that really wasn't my like. That was the only way I could go see a live show was get on a free bus. Um, the first one that I recall being like choosing to go see, I went and saw Foo Fighters and Creed back in the
Mm,
90s, which was pretty rad. That was like before the color and shape for the Foo Fighters. So it was pretty early on. It's awesome to see him. I just kept thinking, like, this guy played in Nirvana. Like, his Nirvana to us was like the
yeah.
end all be all at the time. It's kind of like who everyone idolized, and like, especially, starting in a garage, but everyone wanted to be Nirvana. So seeing Dave Grohl live was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And,
It,
ever since I moved to the city, like, then that was easier to like access, bigger bands and bigger concerts.
and I like this question because I have my own feeling of Nirvana. I was there when it came out. I think it was a junior or sophomore in high school when Nevermind hit. But what do you think the biggest influence Nirvana had on future musicians, Ryan?
Well, I mean, they were kind of they were the epitome of like just grunge, like you can make this, anyone can do this,
Yeah.
right? It was just kind of thrown together and it sounds like done in a garage, but like it was the like all the glam bands, like doing shredding. I mean, that wasn't super accessible to like kids just trying to, start a band. But like
Have you
this band
listened to the
comes
show
along.
before? Because you're saying like word for
Well,
word what I've always said about them. Like I
oh,
never,
really? Okay.
yeah, like I've never felt like I can honestly say like I've never gone back. I probably haven't listened to Nirvana in 20 years. Like I've never gone back and just been like, yeah, they were fucking great. I was just like, no, I'm like their biggest impact was that anyone could fucking do it. So go and try.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with that. They had some really catchy songs. Like the power of the drums was, kind of what seals it all, for me. But um, it was very, I don't want to say easy, but like anyone could do it. I mean, it was just cool. It was just playing power chords, and kind of garbling, screaming his lyrics. It wasn't anything special. It was new and it was very creative the way they were doing it. But like, it really inspired me to like, I could probably do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They kind of changed a lot that way.
Yeah, I think that was like their biggest impact was that oh shit, me who's an outcast and doesn't know shit about shit can just you know grab an instrument and probably work a little bit at it and do it instead of, like you said, that was always my thing, that wearing leather pants, teasing your hair, putting on makeup and shredding on guitar and singing in falsetto for fucking hours, like that was unobtainable for you know
Yeah.
90% of the fucking people who wanted to play music out there. So
Right. And, there's something about Nirvana too, like being, I mean, emo before emo was emo, right? Like it was I mean, punk rock was always very emotional and very like visceral, but like that was a very rock and roll, like very emotional, um, more than like a Van Halen or some of that sterile stuff
yeah,
was, which I don't get me wrong, I love that stuff, but like this was very raw and very like it drew you in sort of sound with that emotion, that raw emotion.
Right. Yeah. I mean, talking about Nirvana specifically, I mean, they were really harnessing the angst and the passions of teenagers and young adults. They were just like, at the right place, the right time, and especially the skateboarding community. I'm definitely not going to say I knew them before they were huge, but I remember amongst my skateboarding crew, one of them got a hold of Bleach, the Bleach cassette, and we just listened to the crap out of that. Completely wore it out, and like so, it was just something special, magic in a bottle.
yeah, they were, you know, some people had always said, what Tom Petty, you got lucky, Tom Petty, and especially with that song. But like, there are some bands that, regardless of who they are, what they are, making your own luck and just being that outlier that is like, we're just gonna fucking do us, and if something happens, it happens, and we're really not going to change anything. I mean, I think the biggest changes for those guys at that time was the MTV Unplugged shit that people had to do. But I also believe that some of the greatest fucking hits of all time or the unplugged versions of some of those awesome fucking crazy bands. So
Yeah, that Nirvana unplugged album was fantastic. I listened to the crap out of that.
yeah, I mean, and Alice in Chains Nutshell. I mean, that song
Oh
is
yeah,
fucking forget it.
yeah.
I mean, if you don't fucking get the feels from Lane Staley doing that after them wheeling him onto stage, like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
All right, here's one of my favorite questions to ask. I love prompting it that way, but and sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's easy. But I'm gonna start with you, Dave. When it comes to names without numbers, and you meet a stranger, you tell them you're in a band, and you can only play them one song of yours, to show them your band. What one song of yours are you playing for them? And it has to be released out to the ether. It can't be something that you've recorded and no one's heard.
Oh man, that's definitely a tough question. I may have two answers,
And
but I would say,
sometimes that happens because you can have the song you might play for someone and your favorite song that you think you would want to play for them. So
yeah, a lot of times I'll put on a song called "You Do the Talking."
Why don't you speak up? Tell us something that we need to know. Fill the void of silence with a joke or anecdote. How about that game? This weather's crazy for the month of May.
feel that it's very accessible to most audiences, and it's, in my opinion, it's one of my favorite songs that we've written. But sometimes if like I know the person, they lean heavy, or maybe they're like a hardcore person, or maybe they just like heavier music. I would maybe pick maybe a more aggressive song like Winter Wars or Empire on Fire.
Mm.
But
Hmm.
but yeah, you do the talking, probably.
Okay. How about you, Ryan?
I mean, you do talking is a good one, and that's sort of like if you want to pull, it's gotta get the widest appeal, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like you're sitting in front of Quincy Jones. That's the song you're playing for.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to miss the mark on that one because, like, it's again, broad appeal. I would say my favorite song, just because of the lyrics, is Florida. It was a very like, I don't know, it's very Buddhist. It's very like live in the moment, be free, like, let go of trying to control things. That's maybe my favorite, like lyrically.
Nice. Totally. Like I love a lot of times when I already have the song picked out and the band usually says it, but I also love when I have something completely different and not even mentioned that I've played for people. So I've played Lost and Forgotten a lot to people. Been like, you just got to listen to this.
Oh yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yep. That was up our most recent. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, if I go all the way back to stuff, I mean, everything ends inside my head. Like there's so many, listen, you guys are fantastic. So I'll get that out of the way real fast. And
Oh gosh.
like, I
Thank
love
you.
all your stuff. And I do pick little things because I'll make like a little list, like, hey, check out these like 5 songs, like make your own little EP. And this is where I think you're going to like what it is they're doing.
Well, that's very cool. I appreciate you saying all of this. That's wonderful. We did, and for the record, we didn't pay you to say that.
No,
Nope.
no. No one pays me anything. I'm just like you guys. I lose money on
Yeah,
everything I do here. So,
Yeah. We are a broke rock band.
and we are
no
a
money
broke
to pay.
podcast. So no money can be exchanged because we don't have any. So now, Ryan, you brought up earlier about like your stage fright and stuff and things like that. There's usually, you say sometimes you said that, usually if you can't get into the mindset, you'll have a bad show. But I really want to pull some horribleness out of you. And Dave, you'll have the same question. But is there like one of your live performances that went so horribly wrong? It's one of those things that even if you have another bad performance, you're like, well, it wasn't that, so can't be that bad.
I mean, I know what Dave's answer is going to be for this, but mine would be, so we were playing downtown Omaha in like this big giant park. It's like an amphitheater in downtown Omaha, and we have these like electronic pedals that completely fritzed out because of, I don't know, the sunlight, I guess, was right beaming down on them, and we were supposed to be playing for like an hour or something, and legitimately we were up there in front of, I don't know, thousands of people fiddling with these little electronic pedals for like 15-20 minutes. It felt like forever. It felt like half the set. We were up there fidgeting, like restarting things, or like, what can we do to just start playing? And nothing was working. And so again, like, that's sort of my worst nightmare sort of scenario where, like, it's one thing when we're playing and I can kind of see people swinging back and forth into it, which kind of makes my anxiety go down or my stage fright go down. But like when everyone's looking at you and you can hear the crickets and we're screwing with things on the ground and I'm like having to, like, I don't know, tell jokes, like I can't remember it. It was so awful. Like I can't remember a lot of the details. That's how awful it was, because it was like one of those, like, the record player screeched and everyone just looked at you and was like expecting something cool and nothing cool was happening. That was the worst show ever.
Okay. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, that's definitely up there with just kind of being embarrassed because of technical difficulties when your equipment's not working and you're trying to fix it and you can't. And yeah, like Ryan said, there's like 1,000 people kind of just standing there wondering what's wrong with you. Um, yeah, so it's probably one of the most embarrassing shows. And the other show that Ryan may have alluded to, I have stricken that from my mind, and it no longer exists.
I find that hard
Well,
to believe.
I mean, you tell them a little about it. Just the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah.
It's we had a little
Well,
to drink that night. We had a little too much to drink that night, and we played really late, and so we had a little bit more to drink. And by the time we played, like after the show, the guys who had things to drink were feeling great about it. We were like, "Yeah, that was a great show." I don't know why. Like, I had fun. Did you have fun? Yeah, I had fun. And Dave was like the sober one. He's like, "That was not fun. You guys were all over the place. You were not together. Everyone noticed how sloppy you were." And I was like,
yeah.
"Well, I don't know. It sounded good to me." Like beer goggles.
Yeah, that's like you have to get to the venue because sound checks at 1:30, but you don't go on until 1.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of beer goggles that night, and I don't know. We were just really, really sloppy.
All
And
right. Well, let's pick it up a little bit. Dave, do you have a memory or performance that like stands out because it's just like that was the moment where you're like, oh yeah, that could have been our best show ever.
I mean, we've definitely had some really great shows, but even recently, I think we all collectively felt like, man, like that was a really great show. We all played really well. It's just back in July, we opened up for a band called Emery,
Nice.
and
Christian
so
metal band. I mean, sticking with the theme.
yeah, yeah, the early 2000s,
Yeah.
tooth and nail emo wave. But we were opening up for them for a big show here in Omaha, and I don't know, it was just one of those nights where everything clicked. We played really, really well, and I think if I could speak on behalf of all of us, I think we all felt that way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was a great show. Like, I think lately, I don't know what it is. I'm gonna knock on wood here. Like, we've been playing some pretty good shows lately. I feel
Yeah.
they have been the best shows in the span of our time together. I will put in one. So the show that I probably am the proudest of, and the one that I bring up anytime anyone gives me a chance, is we played with Jimmy Eat World at, way back in the early
That's true.
aughts. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was maybe the most fun just because I knew we were opening for Jimmy Eat World, who is one of our favorites.
Nice. Now, in your lives, there's certain bands that you kind of hold on to forever. I always say, I preface this, people are tired of hearing me say it, but I have to so you understand, but I have a different meaning of it. Rolling Stone will ask you what your favorite band is. I'll ask you, what's the band that never lets you down that you constantly love turning to listen to when you don't know what else to listen to? Dave.
All right. First, out of the gate, I would probably just have to say Jimmy Eat World, probably. Maybe not every single song, but I would say every song or every record definitely holds a spot in my heart. But yeah, Jimmy Eat World.
All right. How about you, Ryan?
This is a tough one. So, I mean, my favorite bands, just to like clue you in, are a little off center of what we do typically. Like, I like the New Pornographers. I like Ben Folds quite a bit. Those are kind of my favorite bands. But the one that like is the well that giveth for me is probably Weezer. We were listening to them on our most recent tour. I mean, some of that early stuff is so good, and they went all over the place. They've got what 60 albums or something like that. So just kind of dipping back into like, I mean, they've got some crappy albums, but like they're little nuggets of redemption on each one of those, and just because it's such a wealth of material, it's kind of good to kind of dip back into that from time to time and find something new. So yeah, I'd say Weezer.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
I just wanted to give a special shout out to the band Anberlin as well.
Yeah.
Not to retract my answer, but Ryan can tell you that my passion for Anberlin runs deep.
Yeah, his daughter's name is Anberlin.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. No, now I get it. All right. Ryan, desert island album, one album.
Oh, when I would say Something to Write Home About, the Get Up Kids. It is a classic in my mind. If you like emo, like Midwestern emo, is all the and that's like a new term I've heard recently. It's like Midwest, like the kids don't really know what emo is. Like to us, it was the Get Up Kids and Jimmy Eat World and some of that in the early aughts.
Yeah,
But
Sunny Day Real Estate. Like I say,
Sunny Day Real Estate.
yeah, say
I
Sunny.
could go on,
Yeah, Sunny Day, and I always tell people and try to educate some kids like emo started with Jawbreakers, Dear You, and Sunny Day Real Estate's Diary, and then went from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, Dave, Desert Island album.
Anberlin Cities.
All right. Something you listen to that people would be extremely surprised you get tons of enjoyment out of listening to, Dave. Some people call it guilty pleasures. I call them just pleasures that you get scared for a millisecond if someone catches you listening to it.
I mean, that's a great question. I listen to all kinds of, all kinds of stuff. But I have a soft spot for like jazz, the jazz in the sense of like not Kenny G, but I don't know, like I don't know how to like
Miles
answer
Davis.
this. Well, I mean
so it's
that's
definitely Kenny G because you said it's not, so it's definitely Kenny G.
Kenny G is, I don't know, probably the most relatable reference, but
the easiest saxophonist to make love to. That's what you're trying to say.
That's true. I mean,
you throw out jazz and you go to Kenny G, like Charlie Bird Parker, like Miles
well, that's
Davis,
I was trying to see that.
Oh.
So that's why I try to like differentiate. It's not like swing band, although I love some good, John Coltrane. But jazz like Spyro Gyra or
okay.
the Rippington,
yeah.
the Rippingtons. I mean, you own a record shop, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So bands like that, Chick Corea, things like that. I just love listening to that instrumental jazz stuff. And again, my dad was a huge jazz nut, so I kind of grew up hearing it, but also playing saxophone. I kind of enjoyed it as well. Gave me something to relate to.
Nice. Ryan, how about you? Something people were really, really surprised you get tons of enjoyment out of. Hopefully it's Kenny G part 2.
Come on, Silhouette.
It might surprise people, it might not, because I wear t-shirts all the time with Taylor Swift on it. Like I love myself some Taylor Swift. I don't know if that surprises anybody because she's like the biggest star on the planet, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah, and listen, it's fine to admit it, with certain things, and she is the biggest fan. She doesn't need any more, but she's so huge. She's got so many fans, biggest person in the world. It's okay to like some Taylor Swift. Listen, for me, I don't listen to all Taylor Swift, but Folklore, I'm like, yeah, that I own that album because I'm like, it's just fucking great.
Yeah, I would say that's like her pinnacle in my mind. Is that album?
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. All right, here we go. The hard hitters right now. Dave, world's going to end in 5 minutes, and you can only listen to one song only. What's that song you're listening to?
I'm really bad with song names. I can get it here in just a sec.
I mean, while he's doing his
go ahead.
Yeah, I would say it has to be REM's "End of the World" as we know it. Like, I mean, as soon as you said that, I'm like, yeah, the soundtrack to the end of the world has to be that song.
Yeah, I mean, it's a common thread. A lot of people have said that for that question.
I mean, nothing new. I mean, if I had to go like oddball and Afternoon Delight would also be sort of just this like out of left field, but.
Yeah, you wouldn't even get through the whole song. So,
oh my gosh! Now I got to make this choice. Do I go with like a classic, or do I go with like?
Well, what's the first thing that came to your head? Yeah,
well, Anberlin, their song called "A Day Late."
Okay.
It's just mostly because I can just really relate to it lyrically. I love that band and the lyrics. They just really stood out to me, and I just resonated with them. But a song called "A Day Late" for sure.
I mean, that would fit with the world ending.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, that'd be apropos.
All right. Next downer of a question. tragedy strikes, your dwelling is on fire. All living things make it out safely, even the goldfish, and you can run back in for one musical item that means the world to you, whether it be shirt, instrument, picture, zip stick, record. What's the one thing you're running back in and grabbing first, Ryan?
Oh, it's my Gibson SG, no question. It's actually come up in other, like, if you can grab anything, doesn't regardless of what it is, it's my Gibson SG. That's kind of the guitar that, like, I fantasized, I had dreams about as a kid because Angus Young played it. And so finally, when I was my first real job, I made enough money to where I was like, that is the guitar I'm buying. And I've had it ever since. So I've had it a long time, and sort of it's very near and dear to my heart.
How about you, Dave?
Just one item I had enough time to grab. Probably one of my guitars, probably my Surge AM, probably.
All right.
Just because we all play expensive gear, and if I could save at least one expensive guitar, that's probably the one I'd grab.
Yeah, but like your insurance is going to cover that, right? Like, it's like, what is it about that guitar that you can't replace?
I don't know. I just really, really like it a lot. That or my laptop, because again, like we were talking about,
Kenny G answer.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about how, like, everything lives on a computer. Everything's so digital these days.
Yeah.
That if my laptop just went away, like, there probably is a lot of stuff on there, even names without numbers related. Old demos, old songs. Ryan's pretty good at keeping that stuff all in order, but there's probably stuff on my laptop that couldn't be replaced.
But you gotta put that on the cloud. That's why you gotta use the cloud to your advantage.
Yeah, the cloud.
But what if the cloud goes away?
Yeah.
Well,
I've seen bright sunny days without clouds before, so it can happen.
I don't know, but yeah, probably one of my guitars. Probably, I don't know.
All right. Well, since you're a collector, I mean, and Ryan isn't, I'll just force this question to you. What album in your collection that you have, like, means the most to you? Like, it would be terrible to see that burn in the fire because you don't think you'd ever find it again.
Luckily, there's Discogs that can help a lot. I'm actually sitting in my vinyl room right now. Oh, I don't know. I have some. Well, again, my passion for Anberlin. I mean, I have some first pressing Anberlin, not necessarily worth like thousands of dollars, but hundreds. I don't know, some first pressing of some Pixies stuff. I don't know, first pressing of like Zayo. That's another metal band I'm a huge fan of. So I pretty much I celebrate their entire catalog, and I have first pressings of almost everything, so I might grab a handful of those.
Do you ever listen to them?
No.
Like, what's the use of having it if you don't listen to it?
Well, it's kind of like retirement. I'm not a flipper by any means, but I am a collector for sure.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing that I've had to endure with opening my record store over a year ago, is like going through a majority of my collection of what I was going to get rid of. And then I started playing this game with myself where I'd bring my travel record bag and I'd grab 25 records every day, bring them into the store. I'd listen to them while I was working. And it happened so often that the entire box kept coming home with me that I was like, okay, I guess I'm done going through my collection of what I can get rid of. But
yeah, once in a while I'll go through and I'll purge some vinyl, but it's usually a vinyl that you can find pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, I mean, it's just, it's like function, and I always have my phone. I always have my computer. I'm always, where I can like just hit a button, and getting out a record and like going through the, taking it out of the sleeve and putting it on the thing. Like, to me, I get it. I get where you guys like the smell and all that, but like, it just seems like a lot of work.
Well, I love it because I'm going to strike all of that from the show.
But I'm gonna send you my Discogs link, and then
I've been working on my personal collection on Discogs forever. I'm And when I say forever, a very long time, and I'm only halfway through D in the
Yeah, I probably
alphabet.
don't have as many as you do, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but well, we're coming in on our hour here, and before we go to our final segment, I'd love to give you guys the opportunity to tell everyone how it is to, you know, find your music. I mean, I'm thinking the guy who doesn't own physical media might be the best at giving out all the handles and everywhere you can find you digitally, and find all your stuff. But I'd love to give one of you the opportunity to tell all the listeners how to keep up with what you're doing and how to find all your music and support the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think I'd be the best at doing that. I'm gonna go ahead and punt that over to Dave because he is the salesman.
Yeah, I am the band dad and the manager. And yeah, so our handle is names without numbers, pretty much everywhere you go. Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music. It's just names without numbers. And you can find us everywhere. And our website, nameswithoutnumbers.com. And there you have it. You can find us pretty much everywhere.
Awesome.
All the YouTubes, all the Spotify.
Yep. YouTube, same way. Yep.
All right. Well, our final segment is our weekly threes where you guys have appeared. You were on my weekly threes. It's 3 things you're listening to that you've listened to recently that you'd really like people to check out and listen to as well. You give your threes, then I give my threes. So, Dave, it seems like it took you a long time to look up things. So maybe Ryan, you go first.
Okay. I would say I've been going back to the Weaker Thens a lot lately. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're like
Mr. John K. Sampson. Oh, yes, I have.
yes, yeah. I haven't listened to a whole lot of his like solo stuff, but
Still just as good, man.
yeah, I mean he's a great songwriter.
Yeah.
In terms of like the melodies and the lyrics he puts together is chef's kiss. I mean, I've been listening to a little Weezer lately, so maybe that's another one. And then, like I mentioned before, one of my old standby favorites is Ben Folds. I always go back to Ben Folds. I love that guy.
Nice. I keep he stares me in the face here in the studio. His poster of him giving me the finger. So yeah, I'm a huge Ben Folds fan. So he always brings me back down to reality when I'm like feeling too good about a show that I'm recording, and then I look over, he's giving me the finger. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I can.
Yeah, I love that guy.
All right, now it's my turn.
Your answer?
I do. I've been listening to a lot of a newer band called Good Terms.
Yeah.
Pretty stoked on those guys lately. Bill Murray. Been listening to a lot of Bill Murray, not spelled the way that the actor is, but
correct.
And then Laney, Lany. Been listening to a lot of Laney.
Nice. Good threes, fellas.
Keeping it modern.
My 3 for this week. The first band is a band called Gorilla Toss. They just recently released an EP called CEO of Personal and Pleasure. Just I guess a great like mix between, I mean, great female vocalist and kind of. So Ryan, you said you like new pornographers and stuff, like kind of along the pavement, new pornographers. Like there's just a lot going on, but it actually works in the end.
I gotta check them out.
Nice.
I just pulled it up. They look interesting.
Next is a band called Pink Shift. They're like a more hard rock band from Baltimore. Name of the album is Earthkeeper. Came out a couple weeks ago. I don't know where or why I found it, but it's pretty damn good. And then last but not least is an Irish indie band, which there aren't many of them really, but this band, it's called New Dad, and they just have these beautiful melodies, and when the girl singer hits her note, she's got a little bit of that Dolores of the Cranberries in the back of her voice, so it's like very soft and smooth, but when she hits hard. So yeah, those are my 3 for this.
Yeah, actually, as you were talking, can I hit a 4?
Yeah, I mean,
is that allowable?
Yeah, I mean, go right ahead.
Okay. I like the Beths. I've been listening to a lot of them. If you've
Yep.
listened to any of them, you
I'm-
said some bands that with a strong female lead, and that's one that I've been into lately.
Yeah, they're fucking awesome. I broke all the rules when the album showed up the Thursday before for the record store, and I opened it immediately, locked the doors, and was blasting the record in.
Nice. The new album is awesome. It slaps.
Yeah, they're amazing. But and I think they were on my threes last week because of that album. But
Oh, very cool.
Oh yeah, nice.
Before I get you out of here, and we end this thing the way we do, first and foremost, huge thank you. I said it at the beginning of the show. Thank you for being here. But the biggest thank you really is for the music you've created and given me, and made me feel the need to reach out to talk to you guys. It's the music, right? It hit me in a certain way that, I reach out to bands and artists that I'm truly interested in and want to talk to. And you guys checked all the boxes for me when I first started listening to you. And then I ran the gauntlet of listening over and over again to all the stuff you put out. And I'm like, man, I sometimes I feel like an ass that I had not found it sooner in my life, but the fact that it made it to me is really the most important thing. And you guys created that. So, I mean, the biggest thank you I can give is like, thank you so much for creating the music that brought us together and to spend some time with each other.
That is very humble.
Yeah.
I mean, and thank you a lot for that. It's kind of, when somebody says things like that, it's, I don't know, it's pretty cool. And we appreciate being here. We appreciate you having us on. It's been a lot of fun talking with you.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, we certainly appreciate your support and your kind words. And I mean, any podcast that Chris from Texas is the reason is on, sign me up. Sign me up.
that was a fun one because we got to do it in person on stage at the.
Oh,
at
that's
our
awesome.
store. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Love
of fun.
that band.
Yeah, but Dave, Ryan, stick around for a second with me. But everybody else out there in the world, you know what time it is now. It's time to go out, listen to Names Without Numbers, and have a great fucking time.
Saw bright eyes at Sokol Underground. We were just trying to break out, and we were always at the cog. A wide-eyed yearning, sparklers burning, the power lines in parking lots. All our dreams felt so alive. Raise our glasses to old days, and just to all the memories. Here's to all the friends that we've made, and cheers to small town land.
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.